Hey, so I wanted to make a quick video. I had, right after I made some video and taken some photographs out on the beach and at the artist wall, um, my phone basically died. And I was going to try to catch everybody knows that there's like a skate park out here too. And I walked over to the skate park to turn on my, turn on my video and do a Facebook Live, and of course, my phone was just dead. So at any rate, didn't get to capture a lot of the skaters that were out and BMXers, but there's some like cool kids. Like it's Venice, and there's like these, there's like little 10-year-old kids that are just crazy badasses. So I wanted to capture those guys, and then there were, there's older dudes. There's guys my age, and then there's like 60-year-olds out here skating. You know what I mean? It's pretty awesome. Anyways, so my phone died, so I ended up taking it back up into the hostel. I'm staying at the hostel that's right here on the beach, and it's pretty amazing. And as it were, I'm plugging in my phone to just let it charge. And there's a group of guys and a girl standing in the lounge, and the lounge literally overlooks the ocean. I'm just outside the hostel right now, and it's like 5:12 a.m. and just beautiful out here right now. Perfect breeze, and it's just starting to get light outside. Anyways, so I end up hanging out with those guys in the lounge briefly, and they invite me along. They're going to hop in an Uber and go up to West Hollywood to the comedy club, and it was awesome. It was my first time there, and everybody knows the comedy club in West Hollywood. It's like, kind of famous for years. All of these phenomenal stand-up comedians have been up there, and performed there. And so without my phone that I left in the hostel charging, I experienced this evening that was just a good reminder. It was nice to be able to experience it without my phone, without Facebook, without messages, without even checking in, without anything. And the reality that I was immersed in was just all about the very immediate experience. And even though I'm making a video about it and sharing this of course on Facebook, it still was extremely refreshing. And so I ended up meeting John, who's from New Jersey, who now goes to school at UC Berkeley, and Michael, who is from Australia, and Alicia, who's from New Zealand, and hopped in an Uber and headed up to West Hollywood. And they have their open mic there tonight, and Monday nights is their open mic, and it's pretty extraordinary. There were a lot of up-and-coming comedians, and as it were, it started out initially, hey man, what's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good. Yeah. It started out, it's pretty good. There were a lot of really, really good comedians, and somewhat top notch. And then, of course, it peaked, and then it fucking bombed like hardcore. And by the end, it was just like, I'm being mind raped right now. And it was not good at all. There were a lot of really dull comedians, and after a while, you can only mention nigga, ISIS, pussy, and dick so many times in a night that it just gets old, and the bits get old, and it's just unoriginal, especially when you have to cuss all the time. It's just unoriginal shit. It lacks creativity, it lacks good moral, it lacks, it's not comedy anymore. It's kind of like, what the fuck am I doing still sitting here? Anyways, after that, we headed out at 2:30 and walked up Sunset Boulevard to Mel's Drive-In. And I know for a fact that, like, Natalie, I know you'd be proud. I was over at Mel's Drive-In where they play 50s all day, all night, 24 hours, girl. You would love it. I know you would. There's jukebox at every table, and a lot of the people that work there are way into 50s. However, the girl that was our server, she had the Rad Lateralis eye from Alex Gray, and Lateralis, the album from Tool, tattooed on both of her forearms. And, you know, of course her ears were stretched, and she had tongue ring and piercings and tattoos, and she was more of a, I guess if you could consider mixing goth with 50s, she was like goth pinup, and it was awesome. Anyways, she was a cool girl, definitely, you know, a little bit older, you know, not like all the young kids running around working at Mel's Drive-In. At any rate, tonight was fun times because I left my phone at the hostel charging, and I didn't have to, like, experience anything else other than the immediate present. And as some of you already are aware, Eckhart Tolle's book Power of Now has resonated, and at points, you know, it is about the power of now, and then at other points I find myself lost in the, you know, in the denying of the now and dwelling on what happened in the past and worrying about what hasn't happened yet in the future. But tonight was definitely the power of now, definitely in the very present. And it was really refreshing to hang out with a couple of people who I just met and randomly hopped in the Uber and just headed out to the comedy club in West Hollywood on Sunset. So it was a good reminder, I guess. It was a very positive reminder of being open to the experience, you know. There was one stand-up comedian who was probably in his early 30s who, you know, you could tell he's seeking material, and he's just using whatever he saw in the audience to kind of to go on. And he asked all of us, like, where we were from and what we were up to and how the hell did we meet each other. Like, how is some guy from Kansas City, you know, he doesn't know my backstory. Of course, I've zigged and zagged all over the country and lived in all these crazy places, but as well, Michael, who's from Australia, and Alicia, who's from New Zealand, and even John, who's from New Jersey and going to school at UC Berkeley. So he's like, wait a minute. He's scratching his head. He's like, how the fuck how did you guys all meet? Like, what the hell is up with this crew? You know what I mean? And it's crazy because, you know, we told him, like, we were staying in the hostel in Venice. And he's like, the hostel? Man, like, nobody stays at these fleabag, scuzzbag hostels. And you know, we're all looking at each other like, wait, what? Like, what the fuck is he talking about, right? So there's this idea that somehow, you know, like, you get to be of a certain age and you stay in nice hotels, you know? And it's kind of funny, like, you know, unbeknownst to him, I stayed in a fucking nice hotel yesterday. It was a goddamn expensive, overpriced fucking hotel in Cypress, California. And, you know, the reason I say that is because all of the people there, of course, put it on their corporate account, man. These people cruise in on first class. You know, they take the Uber Black. They're not in the Uber ride. They're not in the Uber pool or the Lyft, you know, the shared. Like, they take the fucking Uber Black from the airport. It's $80 from LAX to Cyprus in the Uber Black. You know what I mean? That's the difference. I stayed there last night in Cyprus because I had to be there. I was around the corner from the appointment that I had this morning at 7 a.m. I was there at 6:45 this morning. But at any rate, that's not the point. The point is that I used that upscale hotel's free shuttle to Long Beach Airport so that I could save money from Long Beach, since it's closer to Venice than from Cyprus all the way to Venice. They want, it's like $50 in an Uber from Cyprus to Venice, and I just wasn't doing it, And of course, the cool dude driving the shuttle van, who's 19, I told him, I don't have a fucking flight today. I'm not flying out of Long Beach. Spirit Airlines, the cheap airline, only goes to LAX. It doesn't fly out of Long Beach, So he was like, oh, you don't have a flight? It's like, no, dude, I don't have a flight from Long Beach. You know how much more expensive it is to fly into Long Beach? Anyways, because it's Long Beach. It's like Orange County. It's OC, Disneyland's up the street. So is Knott's Berry Farm. Anyway, point being, here I was like just ready to get to the beach and ready to get over here to Venice, and ready to get into the hostel, which is only $50, not $150, it's crazy, So here's this guy, this stand-up comedian, who's like, yeah, I don't do hostels. Like, it's so funny, man. It's so funny because it's like, this is this guy who thinks he's all, he's Mr. LA. He's LA about town. He's staying at the Mondrian in Beverly Hills for $800 a night or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? It's comical. It is comedy. It is comedy. He was pretty fucking hilarious. But I don't mind the insults. It's kind of fun. I had some guy tell me just last week. I was out in the Midwest and traveling. I'd been going from Chicago to Cincinnati. He's like, "Hey, where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, Kansas City." He's like, "Kansas City? Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, what are you sorry about, dude? Like, and part of it is that attitude. It's all about like, where you're from, right? Well, it's funny that everybody who's always like basing their whole concept of who you are on where you're from, to me it's a joke, because if only that dude knew where I was from, he'd be like bowing down, you know what I mean, and being like, oh man, shit, like you've lived a fucking life, you know what I mean? And I'm not even saying that from narcissism or from ego or anything like this, but it's like, how do you fucking come off to somebody and say like, oh, you're from Kansas City? Like, oh. It's funny, he doesn't know I moved there 2 years ago, and the only reason that I moved there is because Austin turned to shit pretty fucking quick. It's continually dwindling downward. Everybody knows it. Nobody wants to, acknowledge that, like, so many beautiful, beautiful people and so many beautiful things in that community have been stripped by the very attitude of, oh, you live in Kansas City, I'm so sorry. By that very attitude alone, everybody's like, ooh, Austin, and ooh, San Francisco, and ooh, it's funny. It's just, it's again, comedy, and hilarity, but based on the unknown. The guy that was telling me, oh, I'm sorry, he's never even fucking lived in Kansas City. He's probably actually never even been to Kansas City. And the thing that I love most about the place that I live is the very fact that I can walk out my door, go a couple doors down the street, there's an African market. Across the street is an Asian market. Down the street is a really good taqueria. Down the way, not far, are a couple of really good carnicerias, and there's a really good Middle Eastern market, all within less than a mile radius. I love that there are a lot of Africans in my neighborhood. There's Filipinos. There are a lot of Arab and Muslim people. There are Black, Latino, white, Asian. I love it. It's got some culture. It's got some flavor. And, it has problems too. It's not this picture perfect gated community like everybody in America like dreams of living in this, 3 to 8 or 12 or $40 million mansions in their gated community, and everybody just, is like la 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 la. I live in a really great place. There's a little bit of trash around the streets. It's not the cleanest. It's not the most picturesque. But the vibe and the energy there is real, you know? And that's what I appreciate. And nobody's moving in. Nobody's like tearing. Nobody's moving in to take it away, is what I want to say. Nobody's coming to the street corner and tearing down that, oh, that's a tear down. We gotta tear that down. Let's put a Starbucks on the corner. Let's beautify it. Let's beautify the neighborhood. It's got its own beauty. And if you're open, and like third eye open, aware, eyes open, ears open, people are friendly in my neighborhood. People are like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, ¿qué pasó? Orale, wey. Or, you know, hello, or wave, or, you know, like, hi. It's decent. There are decent people in my neighborhood. And I love it. Just Sunday rather, I was walking around in the crossroads, fucking photographing like amazing graffiti. Like there's a lot of graffiti here in Venice, and a lot of really cool murals and a lot of art on the walls. And it's a lot more expensive to live in Venice, but there is a certain particular culture that exists here that is a lot more vibrant, you know? And I'm sorry, Kansas City. It's like, yep, you're the type of motherfucker that doesn't need to be coming to my neighborhood because you're not welcome. You're not welcome in my neighborhood because that kind of shit doesn't fly in my neighborhood. My neighborhood is filled with a bunch of historic homes that they're not tearing down to beautify. They're already beautiful. They were built in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and they're already beautiful. They're perfect the way they are. Some of them even a little more dilapidated, some of them crumbling, some of them needing tuck pointing, some of them the roof is a little slanted. And there's a beauty in that. There really is. And the people that live there and that appreciate it. A lot of the people that live there may not even realize the beauty that they have. They're like, oh yeah, this neighborhood, you know, like they might even have that same dream that they one day will live in a $4 million house, you know, behind some gates or something. But anyways, enough babbling, Polaris. It's early in the morning, and I'm gonna walk to the beach right now, because it's crazy. There's actually like a street sweeper on the beach. It's fucking crazy. There's like street sweeping the beach. It's not really the beach. It's the cement. It's the walk on the beach. But speaking of walk on the beach, this motherfucker right here is going for a walk on the beach. Peace.